If you've tried and failed to make money with a low ticket product, then I can pretty much guarantee it's because you've been focusing on the wrong thing. Now, I've been running funnels just like this, selling different courses, information, and coaching since the start of 2016. And even though during the last 9+ years, the different trends and offers and products come and go, the fundamentals of getting an offer and a funnel like this to work, they pretty much stay the same. So before we start diving into this and looking at, okay, well, this is what we need to sell, this is the pricing, this is the funnel setup, what you actually want to focus on in the beginning, before you even create anything, is the actual market. And this is where I actually believe a lot of people mess up. So you would have seen recently, the past year or so, especially with the advancement of AI, there's a lot of people teaching and selling how to sell like digital products with AI and Facebook ads. And basically, you don't need a high ticket product. You just need to run ads, sell, low ticket courses made by AI, and you'll make a load of money. And even though like some of the people are making money with that, a lot of people don't. And it's funny that a lot of the people that are making the money are the people selling how to do it. Now, I'm not here to like bash selling how to info. I think it's fine. But the reason why the people who are selling how to do it instead of the people actually doing it and making money is because that's a hotter market. But the problem is that a lot of people teaching how to do it, they then tell you to go and sell something completely different, and they tell you to go into the wrong market. So this is what most people go into. So the circle on the left-hand side here is kind of like the total market of who would potentially buy your product. And they're basically telling you, this little blue circle here, to go into this big market, right? Usually they'll be like, go into health, wealth, relationships, which again, is not bad advice, but how you actually execute on that is where the problems arise. And they'll typically tell you to go into a big, but a super saturated market that is full of competitors. And you can see all these little red dots here, circles, are your competitors. And even though you're going to what seems like a big market and you can make loads of money, you go in there, when you try and run ads, the competition's really high, the ad costs are really high, the conversions are low because there's so many competitors. A lot of the people have already bought different products and services before in your market. So it's actually really difficult to make money, even though you thinking, oh, I'm going to create a weight loss product, a weight loss PDF for guys or for women, right? And you think that's a really good niche. Well, in reality is it's super competitive, and that's quite a sophisticated market. So if you're going to go into that as a completely new brand or a faceless brand without any case studies or proof, and you're just there to make money, then those aren't really the markets that you really want to go after. I much prefer going after a more niche and a smaller market and dominating there. So you can see on the right-hand side, this is what I would personally do. I would go a lot more niche, a lot more specific, and try and find markets that are a lot more untapped and have a lot less competition, even if the market's smaller. So for example, on the right-hand side here, we have a much smaller market, but you can see, this should be blue. If you were just the same person with the same skill sets, you're this person, but when you go into this market, you can either dominate with a couple of other competitors, or maybe there's just no competitors at all selling a similar product. And this is where you can make a load of money as a beginner, as long as you know how to put the rest of the stuff that I'm going to share in this video together. Like the worst thing you can do, I can see again, a big trend over the last few years has been like how to create a faceless brand, right? How to make money online without showing your face. And again, what people do is they buy into these programs and they start selling the same thing. And what you'll find is on Instagram, there's hundreds of thousands of people teaching people how to make money with faceless digital products. And that's where it becomes really challenging to make any money. But you buy into the business model, you believe the claims, you go and try to sell the thing that they tell you to sell, and it doesn't work. And that's because you are going into this type of market. So the best markets you want to go into are really niche specific markets with little to no competition. And this is a lot easier because years ago when we didn't have AI, it was a lot more challenging to create those products if you didn't have any expertise or any way of creating those products. But with AI, you can actually create products in lots of different random and weird niches without you necessarily being an expert in that niche. So it's actually a great time to get started doing and selling these low ticket digital products, but just not the way that most people kind of tell you to do it. So that's the biggest advice. And that's like the decision that you should probably, obviously you want to take action, move quickly, but this is a decision that you should actually think deeply about. And you should, because a wrong decision here, it doesn't matter how good you do the rest of the stuff. If you're going into like a super saturated market with a lot of competition, then it's just going to be a challenge for you. And again, the way that you stand out in a really saturated market is by building a personal brand, showing your personality, having a USP. But if you're trying to do this faceless, or if you're a beginner that doesn't really have proof, credibility, a good story, then you're not really going to have that unique advantage. And it's even harder for you to stand out in a saturated market. So if you are brand new, it's probably more, it's even more important that you make the right decision at this step, because you are at a disadvantage versus the people who are building brands and have credibility and have lots of experience. So it's even more crucial that you actually go out there and you find a market like we can see on the right-hand side. So once you've picked the right market that has less competition or little to no competition, then you need to start thinking about the offer. And again, this is where people kind of mess up. And I did make a video about this recently, so I'm not going to go too in depth on it. It's one of the last videos I made, so you'll be able to see it after this video. But now it comes to the offer, right? So now you know what market you want to go into. Now you need to understand what you're going to offer them. Now, what most people do is that they will go and create like a really broad offer that goes and helps with lots of different problems, because that they think that that's them stacking value. They think that, oh, okay, I'm going to sell a low ticket course for like $27 and it's going to teach them everything. And that's them making like an irresistible offer. But again, that doesn't work. The logic behind it makes sense, but the reality is that it doesn't sell very well. Because like if you think about it, if you create a low ticket product, and let's say you want to go and like teach, I don't know, people how to build an agency. If you sell a course for like $27 saying, hey, I'm going to teach you how to grow like a 7-figure agency, it's just not realistic. People aren't going to believe it. And then also like you're a complete stranger on the internet. Why is someone going to like trust their entire success of their business like on this random stranger for $27? They're just not going to do it. What you really want to do, and this is how, again, you pierce through the noise and the competition and you actually start differentiating yourself from everyone else, it's by going after one painful and one very specific problem. So the example I used on the previous video was you have one person who's teaching people how to grow a 7-figure agency and it's just $27 and it's a big course and it teaches you everything that you need to know. Or you have person B who has a cold email script that they use to generate 112 agency clients in the last 12 months. And you can pay $27 to get that script. You can see person one solving every single problem an agency can potentially face on the way to 7 figures, which is a lot of problems. Or you've got one person who's solving cold email. The second person is going to make more money and it's going to get more buyers because it's super specific, it's more believable, and people are going to have more trust. Plus, it's less risk for them as well because it's just trusting you on one specific problem that they need help with. But there's lots of different examples of this as well. I see people creating low ticket products and how to start like an Amazon business. And again, a million different problems that you can face when growing an Amazon business. And it's going to be very difficult to communicate that and get the trust, and the messaging has got to be really on point to try and sell a big product like that for like $27. Whereas if you sell a low ticket course or a workshop teaching people how to, find in-trend / viral, in-demand, like new products on Amazon, then that's going to sell much better. Again, it's less value technically, but because it's more specific, it means your marketing is going to be better. The messaging is going to be better in the ads, and it's going to convert better. Again, I did another deep dive video into this, give lots of different examples and show you how I would put together an offer for this. So I won't go into it here, but you need a low competition in your market, And you need to choose one very painful, but one very specific problem as well that your offer is going to solve. So once you've got that, then we can go into building the funnel. But again, most of the success, I would say, is done in those first 2 steps. Because I can't remember the exact quote, but it's something like, good marketing and a bad offer, or like bad marketing with a good offer will outperform good marketing with a bad offer, which basically means like you can do everything right here with the funnel. You can pick the right pricing, you can have amazing copy, you can have the right upsells. But if kind of like your market and your offer sucks, then it doesn't really matter how good of a marketer you are. And I've seen this firsthand. I've seen people make millions of dollars who didn't have the best funnel, who didn't have the most optimized sales process, that didn't have the best copywriting in the world. But they were selling like a new offer with little to no competition, and they just made a load of money. I've had that previously as well, where I've gone into like a super competitive market, maybe selling, to online coaches or more generic to like online business owners. And I'll write this like amazing copy and everything's fully dialed in, or what I believe to be fully dialed in. And we just can't get it profitable. Whereas recently we started marketing into a different niche in a new market. And I built the funnel in a day. It's a relatively basic sales page. There's no bonuses. There's no all the regular stuff that people teach you that you need to start marketing. And we launched it and we started making money on day 1. And the reason why is because I saw on the Meta Ads library that there was literally no one selling like a very specific product like we are. And I knew it was like in demand from the marketplace. And the marketing wasn't that good. But because the offer in the market was good, it sold. So yes, this stuff is important, I'm going to talk about, and especially if you want to scale. But first off, you need to get the first 2 points right. So this is like the typical funnel that you are going to build. So you're going to have traffic, which could be from paid advertising, or it could be from social media with warm, organic traffic. And you're going to sell your low ticket product. When they're buying the low ticket product, you're probably going to have an order bump on the checkout page, which is basically an optional upsell. And then once they purchase that, they're going to go to the next page and there's going to be some form of one-time offer. There could be multiple one-time offers where they can only get that offer there and then on that page. And then after that, after they've gone through that funnel and they've gone through the first part of the process, then you're going to have a back-end offer that you can upsell to them. So the funnel is basically split into like 2 parts. We've got part 1, which is what the front end is. And then we've got part 2 on the right side of this red line here, which is the back end. So we look at like the different types of low ticket products you can sell. And again, this varies depending on the market, but this is personally what I would recommend. So your low ticket product is going to be typically between like $7 to $47. Some people try 67. The higher the price is, it's more likely that you're going to need an ROI with your offer. So like something that is like business focused, where they're going to get like a monetary return on their investment, then you can go to the higher prices of like 47, maybe even push it to 67. I've personally not really had much success with going over 47. The lower it is, then they're probably going to be more softer offers. So maybe like more personal development related, hobby related, even like love and relationship related, health related, depending on what it is. Now, again, that's something you would test. Like one of the biggest things that you can test in your funnel is the price. But that's typically where we see the sweet spot, I would say, is like 27. We have a $7 offer right now working extremely well. So you just got to have to test. What we like to do for these types of low ticket offers is to do either like a 60-minute workshop, a course, or a challenge. But again, all of these products, they're just going to be solving one painful and specific problem, okay? Then on the order bump, that's where you can offer different types of products. So this is where I would typically like to sell some form of like templates or scripts. So templates and scripts are pretty much like done for you add-ons, because what I see a lot of people do is be like, hey, buy my low ticket product. And then the order bump, they'll be selling another piece of information. And what most people do is they'll be like, hey, and this is like a basic example, but it could be like, hey, my low ticket course teaching you how to run Facebook ads. And then the order bump is like an advanced Facebook ads program. And it's kind of like, well, you just told me on the sales page, this was all I needed to like run profitable ads. And then now I see an optional upsell is a more advanced way of doing it. And people will hold back information in the front end on the low ticket product just so they can upsell you on the back end. And there's a way to do it, but that's like the wrong way to do it because it's very obvious to the customer then that, hey, well, what you just told me on the sales page was a lie. So for order bumps, what you really want to do, what I like to do is to sell some form of like done for you element. So that could be, if we're running with like the Facebook ad example, it could be an ad swipe file. It could be ad templates. It could be like a video script that generated, $1 million in sales from cold traffic. Something, again, that is short, consumable, quick to consume, but high value. And again, like the done for you element will save them a lot of time. So that's high value and it will be a relatively cheap price. You can test again the pricing here, but typically we would see it go from like $7 all the way up to $97. And you can have multiple order bumps as well. You don't just have to have one. You could have a more specific add-on. So maybe your low ticket offer does solve one painful and specific problem. But if you know that a segment of that audience will struggle with another specific thing that is related to the problem, then yes, you can kind of add that as an order bump. But again, that gets a little bit tricky because you don't want to start diluting the front end product where people don't perceive it to be as valuable. So I would stick with more of the done for you elements. Definitely easier in like the business space, but you can still sell some form of done for you element in kind of like the dating and the fitness space and stuff like that for sure. So once you've done that, then they go to the OTO. So again, here, it can be courses, coaching, memberships, or subscriptions. So here you can sell more information, but again, it's got to make sense. So for example, if I'm selling an ads program, then the back end to that could be, if I'm selling like an ads program that teaches people how to get like phone calls on the calendar for the high ticket product, then maybe my one-time offer could be like a sales training or something like that. So I'm not solving the same problem, but I'm solving the next problem for them. That's like the best way to describe it. So once they've gone through your low ticket product and they've solved that problem in their life, what is the next problem that they're going to experience? So that's just an example there. You can also sell like different memberships or subscriptions. So we worked with someone recently that was working pretty well. They were like a niche business offer for like a specific type of business. And they purchased a workshop or like a low ticket, like a quick 60-minute course to solve a painful problem. And then the upsell to that it was basically like a Go high level, like white label software. But again, it gave them like scripts, templates, and basically all the marketing tools that they need to grow that specific business. And that was a nice add-on because that was like a subscription offer as well. Again, it didn't dilute anything from the front end offer, but it was kind of like the next logical thing that person would need, and it was a subscription. So it was like monthly recurring revenue. Obviously, if your front end offer as well is like just like an automatic course, then you can test as well selling like subscriptions to like memberships, communities, and like coaching as well, obviously. So that's kind of like the front end, the different stuff that you can sell. And then on the back end, it's going to be more premium, right? It's going to be high ticket. I've put $197 plus. Depending how you want to do it, if you're a faceless brand and you can't really do like coaching, then, or you don't want to do coaching, then obviously you're limited with how much you can charge. You could sell like more premium courses solving different problems. But for most people, they're going to upsell people into like a more high ticket coaching program or a high ticket done for you service. Okay. So that's like the different offers that you can put together. But the key here is making sure that the funnel economics work out. So when you're like trying to scale this, especially if you're running like paid traffic to this type of funnel, it's very easy to get caught up with like all the different numbers and all the different split tests and all the stuff that you need to think about. But it's like super, super simple. If you think of it just like, and I put it here, your front end acquires buyers and your back end creates profit. So when we split it up into two parts, this front part here is purely just to build your email list with buyers. It doesn't matter how much money you make. The back end is where you make your profit. So that's kind of like must be your mindset when you're building a funnel like this. And there's only 3 numbers that you really need to understand in order to scale this. So we've got AOV, we've got CAC, and then we've got lifetime value. So if we look at average order value, that's basically how much on average does the customer spend when they purchase from you for the first time. So obviously the way the funnel goes, on day one, they're going to buy a low ticket product, they're going to see an order bump at checkout, and they're going to see, 1 or 2 or a couple of one-time offers after that. So on average, on day one, how much does someone spend with you? So for example, if in 1 month you made $10,000 and you generated that money on this front end here, and you generated it by getting 200 customers, then your AOV is $50, right? This could have been a $27 product, your order bump could have been $37, your one-time offer could be $97. All that combined, how much revenue you generated was $10,000. You had 200 low-ticket buyers, so your AOV for this funnel would be $50. Then you need to look at your cost to acquire a customer. So if you're running ads, how much does it cost you to get a low-ticket buyer? So again, if you got 200 customers and you spent $5,000 on ads in that month, then you know that it costs you $25 to get a customer. If you're running warm organic traffic from social media, then obviously there's no cost, right? So it's zero, so it's going to be more profitable. And then you got lifetime value. So lifetime value is, yes, what they spend on the front end, but also what they spend on the back end. And again, it's the average. So you look at your total revenue of the company, you divide it by how many customers, individual customers you've had, and that's going to be like the average lifetime value per customer. So if you understand these 3 numbers, then you can work out, okay, is this offer, is this market, is this product going to be profitable? And I shared this in a previous video, but it's good to get a bird's eye view on kind of how this works out. So you can see here that this is our low ticket funnel. We're running ads. We've got a sales page. This is a checkout page. So when we get a low ticket buyer, this is a one-time offer, and this is our back end offer. So you can see here in this example, we're spending $10,000 on ads. Our cost per click is $2. So we're going to get 5,000 clicks. From those 5,000 people, 4% convert into a $27 low ticket buyer. So we get 200 purchases. Our CPA, which you can see here, is $50. So we spent $10,000. We got 200 customers. So our cost to acquire, CPA is the same as CAC. So cost to acquire a customer is $50. Then out of those 200 people, 10% bought the $97 offer. So our average order value on day one, you can see, is 37. So right now, you can see that if we just look at the front end of the funnel, which is basically this part here, and there was no back end, so we're going to get rid of these back end buyers, you can see that we would actually lose money. And the reason why is because our CPA, so our cost to acquire a customer, is $50, but our average order value on day one is 37. So every time we get a customer, we're losing money, right? But again, that's why we've got this rule here, which is your front end acquires buyers, your back end creates the profit. So we're not looking to make crazy profit, but you do want to make sure you try and get as break even as possible. But it doesn't have to be profitable front end. You can lose a little bit of money because if you have the back end to create the profit, so in this example, 2% of our purchases here, they buy the back end offer for $5K. That our average order value is 37. And because of these back end buyers, our lifetime value becomes 137. And then now we know, okay, well, now we can be profitable because our cost to acquire a customer is $50. Our lifetime value is 137. So we're going to make what is the math on that? $87 profit per customer over the lifetime of that customer. So this is the game that you need to play. So again, and some of you might be like, well, all right, well, why don't I just like run free traffic, organic traffic from social media? Because that means my cost to acquire a customer is 0. And you can do that, that's fine. But again, a lot of people don't have the patience to do that, or it just doesn't work for them. So for example, like organic is free, but it's limited. Because yes, you can post on Instagram, YouTube. And number one, there's a lot of people that want to go into this business model without showing the face. So that's going to be very difficult if you want to create content that is completely faceless. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. And number two, even if you do want to show your face, or even if you do kind of crack how to get views without showing your face on social media, it's very limited. Like you can't really scale that very well because you aren't in control of how many people see your ads and your offer, right? Because that's up to the algorithm. So you aren't in control. So you can't wake up tomorrow and say, hey, I want 1 million people to see my offer. So for example, okay, let's just say you don't spend any money on ads, but you still get, I don't know, let's just say like 200 clicks. You can see that even though, okay, it's 100% profit, 200 clicks, 4% of people buy, that's 8 buyers, one-time offer, don't get enough traffic for a back-end buyer. Okay, you made $1,000, cool. But if you want to wake up the next day and be like, right, let's make another $1,000, you can't really do it, right? Because you're not in control of how many people click. You're not in control of how many people see your ad. Whereas if you do paid traffic, you are in control, right? There is a cost to it. So that's why the number equation becomes a lot more important. But it's more scalable. You're in control. Not that everyone should, but you could if you're making like, I don't know, like $200 a day from your low ticket funnel with ads, you could wake up the next day and be like, right, I'm going to double the budget. And effectively, you would get double the amount of people to see your stuff. Now, it doesn't always work like that with scale. And I'm not just saying you should go in and just double your budget straight away. But you are in control. So if you are looking to scale quickly, make more money quickly, then you are going to have to crack ads for this offer. And if you are going to do that, then obviously these numbers on the screen right now become a lot more important. And you're 100% going to need that back-end offer to make sure that it's profitable. So like I think people go into it with the mindset of, I'm going to run ads to a $27 product or a $37 course, and I'm going to like make loads of money. That can happen if you're in like a unicorn market here, where you are literally the only one selling to that market. I know people who are making money just selling like a front-end $37 product. It can be done, but they're the only person selling info in that particular market. And it's sometimes a bit challenging to find those markets. Sometimes those markets are limited and they can't scale as well. But regardless, anyone who's making like big money in the low ticket product space, they're doing it because they have a back-end offer. You will see, I'm sure, that the people who are selling you these courses, teaching you how to run ads to low ticket digital products, they will have some form of probably like done for you element in the back end where they'll say, hey, we'll build the funnel for you, just pay us like $5,000 or something like that. And we'll build the funnel for you like it's done for you, right? And that's their back end offer. So that's how they're being able to scale to 100, 200K, 300K plus per month with this type of offer. It's not by selling like the front end course, it's by the coaching or the done for you elements in the back end.